Welcome to It Pays to Think. In this show, we will attempt to deconstruct world class thinkers and show you how you can apply their strategies to enhance your life and your business. We will be chatting to thought leaders, influencers, entrepreneurs, and high achievers. You will be able to find your latest episodes on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcasts. Make sure to subscribe today and you will learn that it really pays to think. Now, let's get on with the show. Something like these awards, like the 30 under 30 list, what did that actually do for your brand when you won that award?
Okay, look, so firstly, making the Forbes Africa 30 under 30 list was a goal for mine. It was something that I wanted to do since I was, I think since I was 15 or 16, I always sat down and I used to watch TV. I used to watch movies and like all these things on TV about them speaking about Forbes and, oh, the Forbes list and how amazing is Forbes. And, and you kind of have that prestige to it, And then a few years later, they decided to create Forbes Africa, in South Africa, and the guys from Dubai brought it here. And, you hear about it, but then you still, we're not really understanding what the whole model is and what they're going to do in South Africa. And then I got the opportunity to be on the list. And when I did find out I was on the list, I was ecstatic. I was very excited. I was just, it was a huge goal for me. It was a life goal to achieve at such a young age, which is beautiful, which is a really, really great opportunity. But I think there's a certain line to say that was amazing, but then what became better was what happens post you making the list. So you form part of a group. So they put us all on a WhatsApp group on, it's practically everyone who's made the list over the last few years. And we're all in one group together. And the amount of business that goes on in that group is incredible. The amount of money that's actually being passed over, the amount of turnover is incredible. Like people are doing deals from Tanzania to South Africa, Nigeria to South Africa, Mauritius to South Africa to South Africa. People are just building businesses together. People are finding opportunities to collaborate and become strategic partners. And that's I wish we actually had the opportunity to show exactly what we're doing on that group, to show it to South Africa and let them see it on a national TV platform, because we want people to understand that strategic partnerships and collaborations and young people working together is how we're going to build South Africa, and how people are really going to become wealthy, and how people are really going to change lives, and that's very, very important for us. So, I mean, in that sense, it was very helpful, but it was also helpful in the sense of like credibility. So I could walk into a corporate meeting now, and because, Forbes 30 under 30, it's not as difficult to pitch these ideas to the corporates, because there's a sense of credibility, there's a sense of support already behind it. They're like, if Forbes can recognize him, then we can recognize him. So it becomes very easy. It becomes a lot more easy to close off transactions. It becomes a lot more easier to do deals with people. Your standing in the business society is a lot better as well. So yeah, I think it's a beautiful, beautiful platform to get on. And I really encourage a lot of young people to go out and do the best that they can, so that they can also be recognized by the likes of a Forbes magazine or an entrepreneur magazine, or even our own South African one, which is called Thriving Magazine, which is a beautiful business that was started by a young girl, a young Black girl in South Africa. And I'm all about supporting. It's good. We need competition for these big magazines. We need South African brands doing that. So yes, it's very, very good.
Totally agree with you. So the next level, obviously, I mean, writing a book is a big thing, because it gives you, like you say, it gives you credibility immediately when you're an author. It gives you credibility as well, but also it gets your message out there if you've got something to tell. And your book became a national bestseller, but it also seems that I read somewhere there were some struggles with the book. So tell us the story about your book and how that came to pass and how you managed to actually get it published and.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and I think it's a beautiful lesson for a lot of young people as well. So I heard a lot of no's in my life, and in my book, writing the book and releasing the book was probably one of the worst times when it comes to getting a lot of no's. So I had my book ready and I wanted to release it, right? And I said, okay, cool. I'm going to go to one of these publishing houses and they're going to release my book, and I'm going to, do really well, and they're going to advertise me and everything. And I'm going to finally be next to like a Robert Kiyosaki, in exclusive books or CNA or whatever, and people are going to actually know my work, So I was very excited about it, and I thought, it's going to be so easy. Let me just contact all these publishing houses. I called 16 of them, 1-6, and out of the 16, I got 16 no's. Straight. People were just like, how do you know how to write a book? What do you know about writing a book? You're 21 years old. What do you have? Do you have any idea how to write a book? What are you going to tell people? And it was a
Sorry,
self-help
Zareef,
book.
can I just stop you there? Was this this was before you won any of the other awards, right? You wrote a book for
Yes, no, this was before One Day Leader, before Entrepreneur Magazine, before everything. Like it was before everything, yeah. So I released the book, and then I'm like, okay, cool. So I went to these publishers and I told them, look, I have this book. I'm a young entrepreneur. I have so many mentors, and I sent out emails. I called people. I went to visit different publishing houses. I did whatever I could. I went to all 16 of them, right? I think I probably went to all the 16 that were available to me. I went to all 16 of them, and all of them told me no. And like I said, they gave me their reasoning for whatever it might be. But some of the reasoning for me was flawed. It's one of the main reasons why we have problems in South Africa. That's the whole age issue, People have to reach a certain age before they do something.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe that. I think it's a very silly mindset, and we need to change that in South Africa. And we can just watch how other countries are developing young people, and then we can learn how to do it in South Africa. Because there's a 5-year-old that's on YouTube right now that's making about $50 million a month reviewing toys. He's 5 years old. It's crazy, and we're sitting here. He has the whole world opened up to him. Well, he can do anything he wants. He's practically a global brand already. But the reason why he became a global brand is not that someone put him on a chair and put all the cameras on him. He worked hard. The family understood the value of building up young people in their country. They understand the value of what social media can do. We have this whole thing of, you have to be a certain age before you do something, and it's unfortunate. I don't want to speak about like even politics, but even in a political sense, we don't even know how to define youth. Like youth cannot be an age where someone's already at such an old age, So that's the reason why we don't have young ministers in the country. And when we did have our first young member of parliament, I was very happy about it. It happened about 8 years ago or 9 years ago. And I was very, very ecstatic about it. But it was one person out of how many different people, out of 400 people sitting in a room of people, there was one person available to be a young person who's relatively young, Now at least we have the people from like Fees Must Fall that are now sitting in parliament, which is beautiful, which is a brilliant thing, but it's still too little. We still need to change that mindset. We need young people to say, okay, cool. We need to see a young 7-year-old have a brilliant brand that's in practically all the different stores. People are buying their products. We need to see a 10-year-old on TV, being a huge musician and artist and doing songs with Drake. We need to see a 12-year-old, we need to see a 14 or 15-year-old person who can actually stand up and be a professional person at that age. We don't need age anymore to stop us from achieving things. We don't need all of that anymore in South Africa. And I think that needs to change. And I'm really trying my best to push out a lot of young people right now, and I really want to get them out there, because the more that they're out there, the more it's seen as normal. And when it's seen as normal, we'll see a lot of young people having similar ambitions. So that makes me very excited as well. But I just want to touch back on the book, right? So, I'm sitting there, I have this issue with the publishers. They don't want to release my book. They're not interested. I got probably the fastest no in my entire life. I sent out an email. It wasn't even an automatic reply. It was a response back from the publishers within like 15 or 20 minutes saying, sorry, we're not interested. You can try again in 2 years' time. That's what they actually said. We booked out for the next 2 years. We don't have space for any of our new authors. Please contact us in, I think it was like 2 years after the date that I actually emailed them. So I'm sitting there as a 21-year-old thinking, okay, cool. And this is where the whole model of self-validation comes in. So everyone goes out and looks for validation from their friends, or if someone says you're not good enough, they believe you're not good enough. I think I sat back and I said, look, I really think I have something to offer here. And I spoke to myself, and then I was fortunate enough to have good mentors, right? But my mentors were not people who gave me things on a silver platter. They gave me the opportunity to find things. So I spoke to DJ Spoo at that stage, and he was telling me, Zareef, what are you doing, man? Like, there's a thing called self-publishing. I'm self-publishing. Why are you wasting your time going to these publishers for? And then I researched up on it. He didn't tell me how to do it. He just told me what it is. I went home, I researched up on it, and I found out, okay, cool, there's actually a way around it. There's actually a way that I can release my book, get it into exclusive books in CNA without having a publisher, and I'll still make more money from it. So I went through the whole process of it. Um, I released my book. I got it into exclusive books. I signed a deal. I was one of the first like authors that are not part of like a publishing house or distribution company to actually sign a deal with exclusive books. But that's because I was persistent about it. I didn't leave them alone. I didn't give them a chance to say no. I probably spoke to every single person in the head office just to be able to get my book in, you know. But nevertheless, my book released, and in the first month, you know, we got a deal with one of the state-owned companies, and they wanted like 5,000 copies of my book because it speaks to entrepreneurs, and it was good, you know. And we became a national bestseller in month one of releasing my book. And I just sat back, and I think I wasn't even boastful or arrogant about it. I think I just sat down and I wanted to sit, and I sat down and I said, you know, this is exactly the lesson that's going to be able to change a lot of people's lives, because people are talented out there. They have the ability to do things, but they don't have self-validation. If you don't stand up for what you believe you can do, a lot of people are going to tell you don't have that ability, you know? So for me, that was it. It was just like a lesson for me to be able to pass on to other young people. I think I want young people to understand that whether people tell you no, if you believe in yourself, go out and do it, you know, go out and do whatever you feel you have the ability to do. And 9 times out of 10, you'll actually get somewhere. So I think that was very, very important for me, you know. And yeah, it's something that I really enjoy speaking about, especially with the fact that today we're practically writing the third book. So the third book is actually in the process of being written. But yeah, it's exciting times now moving forward.
Amazing. So, Zareef, this is a very important thing that you mentioned here, validation. And I mean, these are where most young people's problems start, right? Validation from their friends, validation from environment, validation. How did you manage to develop that concept of self-awareness about self-validation from a young age?
I think I was just always unapologetic about who I was as a person. So, and I think I built up a so people don't like it when people are like that from here, because we're part of a system. So even in high school, even in primary school, you'll pick it up that people who conform are the ones who are loved the most.
That's
People
true.
who stand People who stand with the system are the ones who are going to be most appreciated and loved, because it's in a place of trust. It's not because they dislike the person or they hate the person or anything. It's just based on a system. It's how we wired as human beings. So if something feels safe and you trust it, you're going to appreciate it more. But if it's something that's different and now you're trying to be disruptive and innovative and unapologetic, people feel uncomfortable by that. And that people feeling uncomfortable is a good thing. You need to feel uncomfortable to grow. And that's exactly how it is. So I think from a young age, I mean, I was always that kid in high school that, you know, you knew you couldn't, it's not like, not in a bad way, but like you knew that you couldn't do something because it wasn't seen as acceptable. And you do it anyway, and you would be unapologetic about it, and you'd make it available and acceptable for people, you know? So I think that was just the whole thing of going against the status quo of what people believe that you should always do, but in a responsible and good way, not in a bad way. Um, so I think that was exactly how I was brought up, you know, and I also had that mindset from a young age. So I didn't take it to heart when someone said, listen, Zareef, you don't have what it takes, or Zareef, you're silly, or you're stupid, or Zareef, you know, you'll never amount to anything. For me, I took that as a positive thing. I sat down and I said, okay, that's great. Thank you so much for your opinion. But, you know, there's people out there that I need to inspire, or there's people out there that I need to prove wrong. And I used it as motivation for myself. So I think people need to find that self-validation also comes in from a space of believing that you're good enough, but also believing that you want to change mindsets, but you also want to change the position of yourself or how you seem to people. So, I mean, if I had to sit down and agree with those publishers and say, look, I agree with you. Maybe I am too young. Maybe I need to wait until I'm 30, you know? I can get into you now. Well, at 30, that book would have never released. Empire wouldn't exist. You know, when I turned 30, it would never have happened. So I want people to understand that you must be unapologetic about what you believe in, and you must be unapologetic about what's your dreams and your ambitions, because if you don't stand by your dreams and goals, no one else will. No one will love your dreams and goals the way you do.
Well, that's 100% true. So I read somewhere that you set up to 500 goals a year. So where did you come on that figure, and how many of those 500 goals do you reach?
So I've been doing this since I was like 12 years old, right? Actually
Okay.
13. I would go to like a local bookstore, Beat CNA or whatever, and I'd go and buy 3 diaries. And I'd use them for different reasons. And I've been doing this since 13. I'm now 26. It's crazy. It's like 13 years. Um, and I kept some of my diaries though, because I think it's really cool to see what goals, you set for that year. But I do. So there's one diary in particular that's like my ultimate diary for the year. That kind of shows the 500 goals that I want to achieve. And then I also have a diary for business. So for example, business meetings and everything like that. It's like a normal everyday diary. And then I have my goal diary. So my goal diary is practically self-development. It's a self-development diary. What you do on a daily basis to get you closer to your weekly goal, and your weekly goal, what you do on a weekly basis to get you closer to your monthly goal, what you do on a monthly basis to get you closer to your yearly goal. And that's exactly what it is. And eventually get you to your ultimate goal. So I used to do that since I was 13. I mean, this year I also have about 514 different goals in my diary this year. I've achieved most of them, which is really, really good. I was just looking at it. I mean, my years are different to the normal year. So I work on a mid-year to mid-year basis. So my years are from June to June and not from December to December or Jan to Jan, for example. And I do that purely based on a psychological thing, right? So if you start your year in the middle of the year and end it in the middle of the year, you're not leaving that room for like a party mood or a holiday mood or a relaxation mood in December or Jan, because a lot of people waste those 2 months. So I feel very strongly about that, and I've achieved probably about 480 something of the 514 goals, which is really, really good. And I still have a few more months left. I mean, I still have a month and a half left until the end of June. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, if you can there's years where I don't achieve all of my goals. There's years where I've achieved 350 out of the 500 goals, or I achieved 400 or 450, But for me, that's exactly what the whole concept of self-development is. You'll never be perfect. You'll never, ever achieve every single goal. But if you try your best and you come close to it, you'll always become great. There'll always be an opportunity for you to develop and grow. And that's the whole mindset that I push through. So if I meet anything beyond 350 goals of the 500, I believe it's a successful year in my mind.
Awesome. So besides all these goals, you still have time for charity, right? So tell us a bit. I mean, I can hear the way you're saying it. You believe you've got something to give to the world, and it seems to me like you've got a giving nature in any case. So what are the charities you're involved with? Can you tell us a little bit about them?
So yeah, I've been involved with charities practically my whole life. I've worked with Reach for a Dream. I've worked with the Cyril Ramaphosa Foundation. I've worked with the Nelson Mandela Foundation. I've worked with UNICEF. I've worked with UNICEF SA. I've worked with, a lot of like even, I'm Muslim. So I've worked with some of the Islamic organizations. I mean, I'm currently working with one now. It's our beautiful month of Ramadan now, our fasting month. So during this month, it's all about giving in our religion. So, I'm doing this thing with them where we actually created like a team of influencers and celebrities from Durban, Cape Town, and Johannesburg. And we all like competing with each other to be able to raise more funds for the organization. So we do like fun challenges every single week. I mean, I cooked something for the first time in my entire life last week, but it was purely because of the challenge. Yeah. And I mean, I sang a song this week, which is really, really cool. I rapped the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but I changed the words so it could obviously be appropriate for like a Muslim Islamic kind of a platform, which was really, really cool, So all of it just to raise funds, just to help people in the different countries. It's not just for South Africa, it's for other countries in the world. And I feel very strongly about that. Well, I think for me, it's what you leave in the world that's more important than what you have in this world. And I was fortunate enough to have mentors that taught me that from a young age. I was fortunate enough to understand the value of what life actually is all about. Like, you don't find happiness in having a Lamborghini and having a nice 25 million rand house or 40 million rand house at Waterfall Estate. You don't get happiness in that. You get happiness in changing lives. Like, that's where the real happiness comes from, So I started up a Build a School Foundation as well recently. And it's, I'm very blunt and honest about it. Unfortunately, over the last 5 or 6 months, I've been derailed a little bit. I've been so busy with business. I haven't taken enough time on the foundation, which I really have to. But, the goal still doesn't change. At the end of the day, we set a deadline for when we would run and actually build 3 schools. And if I put pressure on myself with less time, then so be it. I'm just going to make sure it happens, But we're really planning on building schools because first things first, you're looking at what's happening in the country right now. You know, schools are being burnt in KZN. Schools are being burnt all around the country by people, and it's unfortunate because it's actually very selfish in that sense. You're taking away the opportunity for other young people to learn, to develop themselves. But away from that, there's also a lot of overpopulation in schools. There's a lot of schools that are not, you know, in rural areas that are not even appropriate for people to be able to study in. You know, some of them study under trees, and because there's just no availability of facilities. So I just want to be the solution to all of those problems. I just want my foundation to help people. And at the end of the day, it's not even about publicity or letting people know about it. I think at the end of the day, as long as we serve our goal in life and you know, help people and build schools, we've done something. We've actually helped the next person. And my whole idea behind it isn't about myself. Like I said, it's about inspiring another person. So there's another young person out there who's now starting to develop himself that will say, oh, I also want to start building schools. And before we know it, we have a domino effect of young people that are now changing the lives of other young people. And then we can see where South Africa really is, and we can see how we really look as a South African country, you know, when we actually have that mindset in all of us.
I agree with you. That's a very good, very good. So, I mean, the other thing that's very important is your faith. Do you want to expand a little bit that the role your faith plays in your life and your business?
Yeah, look, like I said, I'm you know, I practice the religion of Islam. I'm a Muslim, and I'm honest. Like I said, I'm a very honest person. Sometimes I think I'm too honest, you know. But the thing is, what's nice about being honest is that people can relate to you. You know, I think there's times in my life where, you know, I've never been someone who strayed away too far. You know, I've never drank alcohol in my life. I've never smoked in my life. I've never taken drugs in my entire life. However, I have reached a point in my life where things were going so well, where, you know, you're achieving things, you're always on TV, you're building your brand up, that you're forgetting the most important aspect of life. And the most important aspect of life is to build a better relationship, you know, in your faith. And that's the most important thing. So as you grow, you're supposed to grow your faith and not the other way around. And I think that was one of the lessons I learned in my life. And I'm so fortunate to have learned it at a young age, you know, and I think that's definitely the thing I want to improve myself on. I wouldn't sit here and say I'm this incredible person who met, you know, in our religion, we believe in praying 5 times a day. I wouldn't say I pray 5 times a day. I really don't. And I feel very bad about that. But it's something that it gives me the room for me to improve myself. So I really want to become a better Muslim. I want to become a better person of faith, because remember, our religion is all based on beautiful principles of giving, charity. You know, that's one of our pillars in our religion. Things like, I know in the Christianity religion, it's tithing. You know, it's called tithing, which is very similar to what we believe, and we call it zakat. But it's practically the same thing. Tithing means you take a percentage of your income. I think it's something like 10%, and it goes towards goodwill and helping people. We believe in the same model, you know. And it's things like that that I really want to work on myself. I mean, praying has the whole sense of meditation, has a sense of finding yourself. You're more disciplined, you know, you sin less in life, you do the right things, you understand the value of life. So there's so much of benefit behind improving your faith, you know, whether you're a person of Islam or of Christianity, of Judaism. You know, every single religion brings value to it and brings a sense of morals and ethics, and uplifts you to a certain degree. So, you know, for me in a personal capacity, I'm very interested in improving myself. I really want to become the best person I can become in a religious sense. But like I said, it's all a work in progress, right? That's what we all are as human beings. So I think it's important that we also are honest about that. And yes, I love my faith. I want to become, you know, better. But at the moment, I really have room to be able to become better in that sense, to pray more, to do more in my religion. Yeah.
So, Zareef, you've mentioned mentors a few times. Do you have any mentors that you can highlight at the moment that's been important to you in the past? You know, you've highlighted 1 or 2, but people that really stand out and people that you're looking up to right now that you know, using to maybe model yourself on from a business or a life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few, right? So, I mean, some of the mentors that I have are like your billionaire mentors, which are doing really, really well in life. But some of them are not mentors that I actually interact with on a daily basis at all. In fact, some of them I don't even know. But they become mentors to me. Why? Because of the model of social media and because of the ability of us to be able to get information, right? So I do have mentors, like I said, that I speak to on a daily basis, that I chat to on a weekly basis. But then you get the mentors that I just need to go onto YouTube and they suddenly become a mentor of mine, you know? And that's the beautiful thing about social media. And I'm really happy about YouTube and all of this, because it allows everyday entrepreneurs to have the opportunity of mentorship without having mentorship. So yeah, I mean, I look up to a lot of different people. I mean, I look up to people like Patrice Motsepe in the country. I think I love his mindset, and I love the fact that he's willing to take on risks. You know, he's doing something now with 5G, which is incredible. I mean, he created Time Bank. A Time Bank is a beautiful, beautiful model for a bank, you know, based on completely different disruptive methods than what we're not used to with our normal banks. So I think it's beautiful. I think it's an incredible thing. People like Quentin van der Berg inspires me, you know, seeing his sense of generosity and seeing his humanitarian side, but at the same time, you're practically monopolizing a huge market or mining market in South Africa. You know, people like that really, really inspire me, like locally. I mean, globally, I look up to someone as you know, you wouldn't assume, but I look up to someone like a Jay-Z, for example. I love his concept of diversification. The fact that he understands the model of never leaving everything or putting all your eggs into one basket. And as your one business is doing well, learn how to diversify so that you protect yourself from risk, you know? And he's done that in such a smart way, being a rapper, being a musician, but he understands the business model behind it. Someone like a Kanye West inspires me. Looking at how people wrote him off as crazy and insane, but in fact, he understood the bigger vision that he had in himself. You know, he knew that he's a disruptor and an innovator. So he goes out and creates this beautiful, massive deal with Adidas. People forget about him, but his model is so smart because it's based on exclusivity. So you only get a certain number of pairs of these sneakers available. So it becomes, the demand gets higher. So the value of the sneakers increase. So the more, you know, every time a sneaker gets released, it gets sold out within a few minutes. So the value of the brand increases. He then builds and builds and builds the brand. Today, he's a billionaire in dollars, you know. Forbes just recognized him. He has something like $3.3 billion in net worth. He's even more wealthier than Jay-Z and more wealthy than a lot of your CEOs in corporate US, you know. So it's incredible. It's incredible to see people like that. I love seeing people like that. Lastly, I mean, someone like a Steve Jobs, you know, a Mark Zuckerberg, people like that inspire me. I love watching their stories. I love seeing how they came up. And their whole mindset never changed from day one. They always believed in themselves, no matter if people didn't believe in them or whether they went through tough times or whether they needed to go and build something from scratch and make people understand a new model. They believed in themselves. They understood what value they bring to the world, and they were unapologetic about it. So I love taking characteristics from different mentors and, you know, positioning it in myself, because we can learn from all of these people.
So Zareef, this is, I mean, so what is the end game here? What is your vision for yourself? Where are you going? I mean, what is your long-term plan? Are you
Yeah.
going to stay in business? Are you planning, you know, political future? Or, yeah, well, tell us. I'd love to hear.
so I've never said this to anyone before. And I do have the strong burning desire of one day trying my best to be able to, you know, I wouldn't say rectify the education system in South Africa, but definitely to innovate the education system. I would love to come in as a Minister of Basic Education in South Africa. I just think what we can do, looking at new technology, and especially with the changes in 4IR, and, you know, we can do such amazing work in South Africa, changing the syllabus, you know, really fixing maths and science in South Africa. I think we can do so much. I really do have ambitions to maybe one day come into a position like that. But for me, it's not the sole you know, plan for the future. I think for me, I really want to see my company and my co-founders' company become a unicorn company in South Africa. I want us to be recognized. I actually want us to be seen as a company that can change people's lives. And, you know, if you can become $1 billion company in South Africa, you have the ability to do massive things here. You can actually really, really change the status quo and make things better for everyone in South Africa. So I think that's very important for me. I think also another thing that I really like to do in the next few years is, you know, really spend a lot more time in the foundation, actually really build as many schools as we can. You know, I would definitely want to get married in the next few years, you know, start a family as well. But yeah, I mean, these are just some of the ambitions that I have and some of the goals that I have for the future. Um, and yeah, like just also spend a lot of time developing a lot of young people, you know, as much as I'm 26, there's a whole age group that's below me that can do incredible things that are way better than our generation. You must understand every single generation improves drastically. What they can do and the abilities that they can do are just enormously higher than what we could do because of the technology
Well,
advancements and because of their mindset. So yeah, I mean, I really want to develop the next generation, and I think it's time. You know, at 26, I should start mentoring young people and starting to get them into a position where they understand the value of their brands moving forward.
I think this is one, I mean, it's very important what you just said there to me as well. I think people underestimate, because we have this incredible exponential curve in technology development. That means the historically, you're right, every generation has basically expanded our knowledge base and what we've achieved in the world exponentially. But now our technology is increasing at such a pace that our future generations are going to, the things they're going to do. I can't wait to see what we're going to invent next. So, you know,
That's true.
it's such an exciting time to live in. So,
No, it is. It really is.
so do you have a favorite quote or something that you want to share with our listeners as a parting gift?
Sure. Look, I actually have a few quotes that I live by, but I think the one that is important for me is just, you know, practically learn from yesterday, live for today, and dream of tomorrow. So it's just practically based on the fact that, and I can explain it in a short, you know, sentence. It's just that, you know, as you, like, everyone's going to make mistakes and you are going to get no's and people are going to let you down. And, you know, you are going to be sad on a day because the business isn't doing well, or, you know, you might have a certain family issue or a problem or a personal issue or something, because that's life, you know. But you shouldn't let that affect you. But at the same time, you should be present in today. Don't spend, I know so many people today that are so either stuck on what happened to them before, or they're so stuck on what they would like to be in the future, that they're not living for the moment. They're not living for what opportunities come in. You know, the present is beautiful. I don't know how many people nowadays, you know, actually look up. Like, I think we're so used to looking down at our phones or just looking in front of us. How many people actually look up nowadays? You know, look up and take a moment to just appreciate where you are at this moment, and what you're doing. But and then also, it's important not to forget, what's your plans for the future? Where do you really want to see yourself? You know, but don't let it own you, but just let it direct you into the vision that you want to become. Um, so you should definitely dream of tomorrow, and your dreams should become goals. It should be attainable. It should be things that you should write down. You know, people who write down their goals, 85% of people who write down their goals achieve their goals, because it's something that your mind has now conceptualized. It's something that they believe is feasible. It's something that's possible, you know. So it's just lessons like this that I think is very important for young people. But yeah, that's the quote that I would live by.
Zareef, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. If people want to get hold of you, where do they find you? How do they connect with you?
Sure. Well, so my social media handles are on Instagram. It's at I am Zareef Minty. On social media, on Twitter, it's at Zareef SMD. And then I have my website, www.zareefminty.com. But then you can also go onto our education platform, which is www.generationalwealtheducation.com. And the education platform is beautiful, right? It offers people the opportunity to do courses, but by celebrities and influencers. So you'll have like a Bonang, for example, teaching you how to have social skills, you know, and you'll have like a Intle Mbale teaching you on how to actually have holistic approaches to success and billionaire routines. And then also offer mentorship on my education platforms. If anyone wants to actually you know, have some, maybe a mentorship session or get some guidance on a business, or maybe just the direction of where they want to see themselves in a professional setting, you know, I offer all of those services on the education platform as well.
Zareef, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for taking some of your busy time and talking to us. We appreciate it, and I'm sure our listeners will really appreciate what you've had to say. Yeah, and
No,
good luck with the rest of everything you're doing, and also with Ramadan. Yeah.
thank you so much. Well, no, I really appreciate it. Like I said, it's only a pleasure, and I'm very privileged to be on your platform. So I just want to thank you for that as well. And I wish you all the successes for the future. But yeah, we're looking forward to keeping this, you know, business relationship and conversations moving forward. So I'd love to engage with you further, you know, even off this interview as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely interview again. I mean, I want to follow the story, right?
Brilliant. No, I'm keen. Like I said, I'm always keen. So just let me know, especially when I see people that are doing stuff like what you're doing, trying to find nice stories and case studies to be able to, speak to young people, speak to different audiences. It's beautiful. We need a lot more of this. We need good content in South Africa. So I really do appreciate it. And like I said, I'm super keen to work with you in the future.
Thank you for listening to today's show. As you now realize, it really pays to think, and it also pays to learn from the insight and the experiences of others. Please be sure to subscribe and follow us on all the links in the description below. Fortunately, to think is not illegal yet, and it pays.